the death of Charlie Kirk to me represents a huge um, mark in my life. I've only been on this planet for 19 years old, and especially in the past decade or so, I've been very invested in politics. Um, Obviously, more now than ever. I grew up loving politics because of the sacrifices I was told. I come from a family where my parents had virtually no money, no savings, came to this country with this sort of fidelity that, nowhere on earth, is hard work and passion rewarded than in America. And in large part that has been true. I'm not going to say that this country is perfect, but I am so shocked every single day that I get to live in a country where I am one email message away from a prestigious and accredited and decorated professor who has so much to share with me, or a lawyer, or hell, even a politician. This doesn't happen anywhere else, and I'm so grateful for this country. And in many ways, I can relate to Charlie Kirk, and of course, I disagree with him on a lot of things, mainly economic issues and social issues and a bunch of host of things. But I recognize the merit and the good spirited, at least, that he had. Charlie and I grew up in a similar environment. He actually grew up in the same area as I did, the suburbs of Chicago. You know, Dropped out of community college to pursue his passion and to mark a career as a strong voice in conservatism. And because of how great this country is, he was able to do such that. Um, and I feel the same thing. I don't think my time here could have been replicated anywhere else, and I'm so grateful for that country. But I think an important lesson to learn here is that America is in the same relationship as your parents, right? It's a tough love, right? Anytime you or your parents has an achievement, you're the first one. They're the first one to celebrate it and wear it proudly. But when every time you mess up, every time there's constructive criticism to be had, your parents or yourself are going to be the first one to speak up. And I think that's the same exact ideology that the founding fathers intended about this country. That because we love this country so much, because we owe our lives to the greatness that is this country, we have the right to protect it, and we have the right to voice our opinion civilly and respectfully, so that we can all live in a better environment. We can all live in a better country. And I think, as much as I disagree with Charlie Kirk on a host of things, which for no, there's no reason for me to get into right now because it's completely irrelevant. The fact that Charlie Kirk represented a model, a system where, he had people who disagreed with him. He gave him a free and open talk. Many times, he wasn't perfect, obviously, but many times he would say, "Hey, let's not make fun of this person. Let's let her talk. Let him talk." All those types of things. That is very reputable. That is very, um, you know, credit to him, kudos to him. And I think a lot of people in our generation saw that, and they saw that something as applaudable. They saw that something as noble, and that's why he was able to mobilize a lot of youth voters to join the conservative movement, which is something unprecedented in the grand scheme of American political history. Um, you know, on a positive note, I think a lot of the people who um, today, whether they lean left, right, center, whatever, took this as a moment to mourn the loss of Charlie Kirk, which I appreciate. Obviously, there are kookies out there like anybody seeking attention, lacking empathy, and all those kinds of things that will come out and speak out and say celebrate this death, or this is a result of X person or that, or just pointing fingers and things of that nature. That's a very human thing that has been done since the dawn of time. This idea of scapegoating or blaming it on one certain thing, or celebrating in the face of death and destruction. That's nothing new. But I think what is scary more than ever is that this is becoming normalized. This is becoming desensitized. This hyper-partisan America we live in is something that is very strange. I'm Gen Z. I know what it's like. I'm 19 years old, and hopefully I'm speaking to that audience right now. And when I say when you go on Instagram and you try to fish out, okay, what's his political leaning, what's her political leaning? Oh, she's pissing me off, he's pissing me off because he reposted this or liked this or follows this person, follows Trump, follows Harris, follows Bernie. Like, you have to take a second and step back and really digest this, really consume what is going on this planet. You know, this idea of tribalism where it's like me and my fellow comrades, me and my fellow, my capitalists or my conservatives or my liberals or progressives or name your identity. We together, we are, the moral truthers. We are the correct people, and everybody else is an enemy and should be condemned just because they disagree. That's not America. That's just not America. And the success of this country, in large part, is not because of the ideology presented. I happen to believe, from a libertarian perspective, that a lot of great ideology, great rhetoric has gotten us this far. But truly speaking, the reason why America has been so successful, in my opinion, is this platform that we have, that I'm allowed to, in large part, go on Twitter and mock the president. I'm allowed to protest outside my college campus. I'm allowed to do all these things and allowed to have conversations with people who disagree with me, you know, to a large degree, and still at the end of the day, shake hands and hug, knowing that, hey, we just both want this country to succeed. We just both want America to be a place of a common good. So to wrap up my thoughts, I think, um, moving forward, we should understand that this division that we see should be celebrated. And I think celebrating this division is something that will make us more in tuned and in line with this concept that the founding fathers did. Obviously, not perfect, um, but even our founding fathers like John Adams and Thomas Jefferson were bitter rivals on how this country should be set up. Yet at the end of the day, they realized that what is the common good? What is the common thing that we share? And everybody in this country, everybody with every political opinion, just wants to see this country succeed. That's why we're all here. That's why so many people come to this country. That's why so many people settle in this country. That's why so many people voice their opinions. Um, Understanding that we have more in common in terms of our goals and what we want to see for this country is what really unites us. And I really, really hope, to be a face for positive change. That politics is about learning rather than arguing and hating and winning and losing. Am I going to say that Donald Trump is 100% innocent? No. Am I going to say Bernie Sanders or Nancy Pelosi is 100% innocent? No. But I guess it takes recognizing within all of us that we can always do better and we should always push to do better. That, this country is so amazing in what it has provided us, but at the end of the day, it's as fragile as anything. Um, but with that being said, I had two kind of conflicting things in my head throughout the entire day that are still rattling in my mind of, do I, back off from this? Is this something worth pursuing? I work for a congressman who is attacked heavily, and my life, my safety has been always of question, right? And then on the other side, it's, well, that just might be what the extremists, the people who genuinely hate this country and hate the success of this country, that's what they would want, right? Um, so in the face of all of it, I think, proceeding with caution is something I will obviously take to account, but more importantly, being a guiding light for change, leading by example, willing to hear that, hey, this person disagrees with me, and that's okay. And I'm going to take everything they say a, with the highest degree of seriousness, and I'm going to listen, I'm going to learn, and I'm going to make sure my opinion is as nuanced as possible, accounting for all perspectives. That's what I challenge you, and I think in many parts that's what Charlie Kirk wanted, and that's what he, you know, if you're a Christian out there and he's looking, above, from the gates of heaven, I think that's what he still would continue to want, to continue this dialogue, no matter how much we disagree with each other. Relish, the division, but don't take the division into a means of tribalism and hatred. Because as soon as that happens, then it's no longer about ideas, it's about people. Um, but I've been just kind of rambling. I've been all over the place, so I apologize. But let me know what your thoughts are. Thank you for voicing your opinion. Thank you for expressing your opinion. And thank you more importantly, most importantly, for not attacking someone just because they are on the other side or they fall in another category, right? Let's debate ideas. Let's move forward as a generation and put our foot down and say no, we can be better, and we love this country so much. Therefore, we have the authority to criticize it. Let's bring that tough love and camaraderie back. Um, but I still am hopeful and I still am optimistic. So thank you for watching. I hope you enjoy your day. If you like the video, please like it. If you dislike the video, please dislike it. And rest in peace, Charlie Kirk.